So one of the things that I think is pretty cool that I feel that I lucked out in is that a good chunk of the guys in my guild are actually located pretty close to where I live in the Central Virginia area. We have a couple of guys in the DC, including one of my current and one of my former officers. Unfortunately, the burnout got him. We have some guys in the in the DC, in the Maryland, in the Carolina areas. Some folks hopefully that will come visit from the Kentucky area. So we have some people that are pretty close to us, and one of the cool things is that we can meet up on a rather routine basis, right? I can drive, the 2.5, 3 hours up to DC. We can hang out, etc. We can spend the weekend together, and that's actually something that we did this weekend. Is I drove up there on Friday, hung out with them, drove back Sunday morning. Before all the snow down here, but I think that that's really cool. And I've talked about this on the channel, some of the tips from the first time that I actually went up there, talking about how to be safe and, plan things out and et cetera, et cetera. And that's a video that you guys should definitely check out if you are interested in doing a guild meetup. However, the reason why I bring this up is that there was a discussion, there was a topic that, while not talking about World of Warcraft, kind of popped up into my head. And I was like, holy shit, this totally applies to running a guild and raiding and all this stuff and whatnot. And I wanted to sit down after the guild trip, and I wanted to talk to you guys, my viewers, and kind of share this with you. And it's something that I've said before, but I want to elaborate a little bit on it. So we were talking about, something about improving yourself as a person, right? One of my guild members had said something about having trouble with this or having trouble with that, or something that they were personally working on to improve themselves as a person. Not as a raider, not as this, not as that, but as a person. They were just, a character flaw that they had that they were really working towards getting better, to improving, to making less of an issue in their life. And one of the things that I said to one of my guild members was, look, just like when we are talking about raiding, when I tell you guys, you're standing in fire and you stood in, 37 stacks of fire, or one of the things that I've done for my guild, especially when we look at the logs for, like, let's say Talic, right? So there's that red crap that gets put on the ground where, if you stand in it, you get, you take some damage, etc. I will call you out if you stand in it, okay? I will actually fuss at you if you stand in it too much. It's part of my job, right? It's something to be expected, especially if you're trying to do mythic content. But one of the things that I tell my guild members on a routine basis is this. I'm not asking for you to immediately, change the way that you raid, to immediately go from getting 20, 30 stacks of this crap on the ground to never standing in it. I'm not telling you to, whatever the mechanic might be, to, in one raid night, completely fix your issue, because that's unrealistic. This is something that's unrealistic when you're raiding. This is something that's unrealistic in real life, whether it be standing in fire or improving a character flaw. You're never going to overnight, instantly be perfect. Yes, you can make significant improvements. If you know that you have not at all cared at all about, standing in bad stuff, you completely ignored it, there is going to be a significant improvement once you are actually concerned and conscious about that issue and work towards reducing it completely. And this is the same thing for real life. I've talked multiple times to you guys, and it's something that I highly encourage, regardless of who you are, where you're at within your guild, within your work organization, within your life, is to do a little bit of self-assessment. Maybe, in your raid, if you're the guild leader, raid leader, an officer, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, think about, okay, we had this issue. I handled it like this. Could I have done a better job? What issues were there in the raid that I could have prevented, that I could have done better with? Were there any problems that were my fault, that were other people's faults? Can I look back and see that, that initial spark that lit the powder keg that caused this issue today? Things like that. Can we look back in history? Can I look back and go, man, I really need to improve on this or that? And that's what I want you guys to do. But you can't expect to, and this, like I said, this doesn't matter if you're talking about real life, if you're talking about, World of Warcraft, it doesn't matter. Whatever the subject might be, you can't expect and shouldn't be expected to make instant improvement. However, once you start, you need to continue making progress. Again, this is something that I tell my guild where I go, I don't care if we start a new boss, we do mythic whatever, and we get him to 99% and wipe. It sucks. I want to kill the boss, but if we get him to 99% and we wipe, okay. Get back in there, res up, buff up, all that good stuff. But the next time we engage that boss, get him to 98%. Get him to 95%. Get him to 90%. That progression. That's what I'm talking about here, is when, regardless of whether you are doing it to improve yourself as a person, as a player, as a leader, as a raider, steady progression is what I'm talking about. Continuously improving and making strides to improve yourself, the way you raid, the way you lead, the way you run your life, the way that you live, etc. Nobody expects for you to run a marathon, the first time you're out there on the track. Nobody expects you to lift, bench press, whatever, 300 pounds. I don't know. I don't do that crap. Nobody expects, when I was in the Marine Corps, nobody expected you to go on that 15-mile hump, with a 70, 80-pound pack on your back. Nobody expected that your first day in boot camp. That's why you're there for 3 months. Nobody expects when you are being told by your raid leader, an officer, whatever, that you suck at this mechanic. Nobody expects the next pull for you to instantly improve. But make progress, guys. That's all I'm saying. Regardless of where you're at, what you're doing, whether it's life, raiding, leading, it doesn't matter. Make progress. Don't regress and go back and step back and, lose all the work and momentum that you have created. That's what I want you guys to do. That's the topic that we were talking about over the weekend. It's something I wanted to share with you guys. And I think it's really important to realize that you don't need to make instant improvement. You just need to make slow and steady progress, right? With that being said, hopefully you guys like what I'm saying here. If you do, you guys know what to do. If you don't like it, you guys know what to do. And until next time, I'll see you.